and welcome back to another episode of our Enamoured series. As you can recall, in our last episode, we had our parents and brother come over and visit because they seemed to think that we had a baby. We did not have a baby, but they seemed to think that we did. And so, as we know, we are just hosting and trying to accommodate our parents and our family living with us for a couple of days. We have some stayover guests, and so we are just trying to accommodate that. So we are going to go ahead, we're going to jump in with this series here, and we're going to see how everyone gets on with this new life of her trying to accommodate her parents. As we know, she is also getting on with her career, and we are hoping that she is going to be able to see Micah. So let's go ahead and do some of this gameplay here and get started and see how she is going to fare. Amina is just going to go ahead and go on over here and talk to her dad a little bit and see how he's doing. She wants to catch up with him and see how his stay is going so far now that they are over here at the house. Everyone is just going to have a little bit of a conversation. She is obviously wanting to just check in on everyone and make sure everyone's doing okay. She's having a little bit of a conversation with her brother as well, and she's just checking on them. They're having a deep conversation. She's like, how did you guys sleep? I know I don't have a whole lot of great accommodations. You guys are all kind of just pulling up plots on the floor and sharing the couch. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. I guess we kind of gave you short notice. And she's like, yeah, you kind of did. And I mean, you guys really confused me because you were like, we're going to come help you take care of the baby. She's like, I don't even have a baby, so I don't really know what's going on. She's like, but that's fine. You know, I always love having you guys around. And he's like, yeah, Mom and Dad, I think we're just a little confused. Maybe they're wanting you to have a baby. I don't really know what's going on. So she's going to go over and she's going to talk to her mom, and she's going to say, what is the deal with everything about you guys coming over here thinking that I had a kid? Are you wanting to have a grandchild? I mean, I don't currently have one, but like, are you wanting me to have a grandchild? And I think that Jasmine is just going to be like, you know, she's like, you know, this is Micah. And she's like, I know who Micah is. I've met Micah. She's like, I think Micah's great. And she's like, you do? And she's like, yeah, I've met Micah and I think Micah's really cool. I really like Micah. And she's like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, you know, you had mentioned that you thought that I had a baby. So is that what you're wanting, is to be a grandma? And she's like, yeah, I definitely do want grandchildren. And she was like, I guess that was just my, you know, funny way of saying, get on the ball with these things. You're not getting any younger. And she's like, oh, well, Mom, you kind of could have just come out and said that. You didn't have to make up some weird story about why you wanted to come over. You could have just said, hey, you know, you're not getting any younger. Why don't you go ahead and rush these things along with Micah because I want a grandkid. She's like, normal parents do kind of pressure their kids to have kids. She's like, you know, you didn't have to make up some story about why you wanted to come over and stay. And she was like, I guess that's true. I just also wanted to visit with you. I felt like I hadn't seen you in a while. And she's like, I realize that, Mom, but I really don't have the accommodations to house you guys. And I feel really bad about that. And I know it can't be comfortable with you guys trying to stay here. Obviously, your house is a little bit bigger. And she's like, yeah, it really is. But you know, does she like deep thoughts? Yes, I'm going to let Amina like deep thoughts. They're having this deep conversation and it's made her like these deep thoughts. And I think that's great. But they're, you know, having this conversation and she's just like, I think you guys would be more comfortable at your house. I understand that you miss me. I understand my not being at home is making you miss me. And I understand too that you're wanting me to go ahead and move on with my life and kind of get serious with Micah and settle down and start having a family. She's like, and I want those things too, but I also don't want to rush these things too fast. Like, we did just meet not too long ago. And she's like, I understand that, Amina, but you know, you're almost 35 years old. It's time for you to go ahead and settle down. And she's like, I know, Mom. And she's like, well, you know, I'm just letting you know. And she's like, okay, Mom, I understand. She's like, I was just, focusing on my career and, I had gone to college and then I was, getting settled in my career and finding a home and, trying to find the right person. And she's like, I think I finally have done that now. And she's like, great. And now that you have found him, it's time to rush things along because your biological clock has to be ticking. And she's like, okay. And Jasmine's like, and your father and I aren't getting any younger either. We're, getting on up there in our years and we would like to see a grandchild before, we pass on. And she's like, okay. She's like, so tell me really what you think about Micah. And her mom's like, I really do like him. I really do. I approve. And if I didn't approve, I wouldn't be pressuring you to have kids. And she's like, okay, that's great. So she's going to ask her dad, what do you think of Micah? And her dad's like, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him. And she's like, well, maybe I can invite him over and you can get to know him because I'd really like to see, what you think about him. And her dad's like, yeah, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. I would like to meet him. Obviously, if your mom is wanting you to, get serious and start a family, I would want to know who this person is that you're supposed to be settling down with and starting a family with. And she's like, okay, Dad. So Amina does have to go to work soon. So obviously we're not going to invite Micah over right now because she is about to have to go to work. She's just getting herself kind of washed up so that she can go to work and her family will stay here and just kind of hang out at the house. But she is thinking about going ahead and inviting Micah over so that he can come and meet her dad because he has met her mom, but he hasn't met her dad yet. And her dad does want to know who it is that she's going to be kind of settling down with if that's the route that she decides to take, which, as we know, Amina does want to take that route. She is very serious about Micah. She feels very serious about him, and she wants to progress that relationship further. So she's going to come out. She's going to just have a little bit of a conversation with her family before she has to head out to work here. And she's like, maybe after work today, I can go ahead and invite Micah over. How do you guys feel about that? And everyone's like, yeah, we think that's great. And she's like, okay, wonderful. So I'll just go ahead and plan to invite him over after I get home from work this afternoon or this evening. And we'll all plan for you guys to meet him. And it'll be lovely. Hopefully you guys can all get on really well. And it'll be wonderful. And her dad's like, I hope you have a really great day at work today, honey. I am so proud of you that you're in this new job and that your life is on track. And she's like, thanks so much, Dad. So she's headed off to work and she's now back home. And she has an errant thought here that she is kind of in the mood that she's wanting to move. Now, the thing with that is I think that she's probably thinking that she's ready to kind of move her life in a direction that's more serious, like her mom has said as well. I think that if her and Micah were to go ahead and move their relationship into a more serious realm, that we would probably move her in with Micah. Unless she decided that she didn't really like where he lived. And then they might decide that they want to move into a different home that is better suited to fit both of their personality styles. I haven't really decided yet how I'm going to kind of do that, but she is deciding that maybe she needs to move, that this house isn't very good suited for the future for her. So she's thinking about moving. So she's grabbing herself just a quick bite to eat. She's going to go ahead and invite Micah to come over so that he can meet the family. And we are going to get him to come over, and obviously he needs to meet her dad and he needs to meet Colton, her brother, because he hasn't met either one of them. The only person in the family that he actually knows is Jasmine. And Jasmine absolutely adores Micah, and she thinks that they are perfect for one another, and she loves the fact that they're together, and she's wanting them to get a little bit more serious. Go ahead and, tie a knot in this thing and start having babies. But the rest of the family hasn't quite met Micah yet, and Amina's wanting to know kind of what everybody thinks about him before she goes ahead and kind of pushes this forward a little bit further. Now, that's not to say that if someone in her family doesn't like him that she's going to put a halt to things, because she's going to follow her heart, and her heart's telling her that he's the one. So obviously, if someone in her family doesn't necessarily like him, she is obviously going to be hurt by that, but she's still going to follow her heart. So Micah's come over here. We're going to go ahead and just invite him in. And she's going to go and, welcome him to her house and just kind of give him a little bit of a welcome. And they're going to have a little bit of a kiss, and, she's going to embrace him. And she's going to say, how was your day? And he's going to say, my day was fine, but how was your day? I just spent my day writing. You're the one that had to go off to work and deal with delivering babies and taking care of moms and things like that. Like, how was your day? Like, I haven't talked to you because, I know you've been really busy kind of entertaining your folks. And she's like, yeah, I have been. It's been kind of crazy, really. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, but things have been good. Work's been great. And she's like, I just have really missed you and I wanted to see you. But really, I called you over because I wanted you to meet my dad. And so she's going to go ahead and tell him, after she gives him a kiss, she's going to say, like, I really just want you to get to know my dad. Obviously, I, want him to approve of you, and I want, him to get to know you. And he's like, what if he doesn't approve of me? And she's like, well, if he doesn't approve of you, he doesn't approve of you. It's not going to change my opinion on you or how I feel about you. How I feel about you is how I feel about you. And he's like, really? And she's like, absolutely. She's like, obviously, I want my dad to like you, but if he doesn't, then he doesn't. It is what it is. She's like, but I feel how I feel about you, and that's really what matters most. And he's like, okay. So she's going to go ahead and introduce her dad and Micah, and she's going to talk up Micah to her dad. And her dad's kind of like, yeah, I met Micah, and he's really not that interesting. And she's like, huh. And so she's kind of put off a little bit by kind of how her dad's acting, and she doesn't really know why he is acting that way. But she's going to go ahead and introduce Colton and Micah, and she's going to say, hey, Colton, this is Micah, and she's going to talk up Micah to Colton. And Colton's going to be like, oh, it's really nice to meet you, and I've heard so much about you, and I am really, glad to finally meet you. Amina has really talked about you a lot. I don't know. I'm really not sure I like Micah. So her dad is not a fan. He's not been won over by Micah. And Colton, on the other hand, is like, yeah, I've heard a lot about you. You seem like a really nice guy. I, didn't realize that Amina was quite so serious about you. I am shocked that she has kind of grown to have such a liking for you that she has. But it means a lot to us that she feels strongly about you that she does. And if, she feels about you as strongly as she does, then, I'm obviously on Team Micah because she is. So Colton is clearly on board with Micah, whereas obviously her dad is not. And, we hate that her dad is not, but her dad is her dad. And in his eyes, he's just thinking, no one's good enough for my little girl. And so she's going to go ahead, she's going to give, Micah a hug, and he's like, things went over really well with Colton. And she's like, that's great. And he's like, your dad, not so much. And she's like, yeah, I kind of figured that. And he's like, I don't really know what I did. And she's like, you didn't do anything. My dad's just kind of like that. He doesn't like anyone. And he's like, oh, daddy's girl, huh? And she's like, yeah. So she's gone on in here to go to bed for a little bit, but I think I'm going to get her up. She's desperate for a little bit of fun, so I think I'm going to have her actually come in. She has a whim that she wants to woohoo with him, so I think I'm going to get her up. I'm going to have her come and just come to him and just say to him, like, I realize I have a house full of people, but do you think maybe we could sneak away for a little bit and just go have a little bit of alone time? Because I could really use a little bit of you and me time, and honestly, it would help me to de-stress a little bit. And he's going to be like, I could probably help you out with that. So they're going to go in to her room, and they're going to just have themselves a quick little woohoo, and it's going to help get her fun up a little bit and help them connect a little bit, because she is needing some of his connection with her. And, they kind of feel like they haven't really been able to connect in a little bit because they have had her parents around and all of these kind of things. And They just really haven't had any time to be alone with each other, and they're really kind of missing one another's company and each other's touch and all of those things. So they're just going to go, and they're quickly going to go have a little bit of, quality time together in the bedroom. No one else in the house is kind of any the wiser. They're just spending time alone, watching television. Mom's in there taking a bath, and everyone is just kind of like, yeah, kind of whatever. And so they're just quickly, doing their own thing. So we love that for them. Colton's like, Dad, why are you being so hard on Micah? And he's like, I just don't think anyone is good enough for her. And Colton's like, you do realize she has to marry someone. And wouldn't you prefer it be someone that she's head over heels in love with, that she feels like is perfect for her and treats her absolutely wonderful? Then it'd be some jerk that treats her like crap. Like, why can't you just accept that this is the person she's in love with? And he walks off. So, everyone in the family is accepting of their relationship, and, he just can't, for whatever reason, seem to put his finger on why he doesn't think Micah's good enough. He just doesn't think Micah's good enough. And I think it really is just that's my little girl, I don't want you to take her away from me kind of mentality that he has. And so Micah's come in here. He's trying to kind of get to know him. He's trying to kind of extend that olive branch and build on that relationship, but it's really just kind of not working out. But she's going to get up. Amina's going to go in there, and she's going to have a little bit of a conversation with her dad, and she's going to say, now that, Micah's kind of left and you've had a chance to get to know him, and he's, really tried to, win you over, what is it that you actually think about him? Like, can you give him a chance? And will you give him a chance? And he's like, honestly, I don't really like Micah. And she's like, gonna yell at him, and she's just gonna say, you know what, Dad, I really hate that you unfortunately don't like him. I do, because he treats me amazingly, and I would have thought that you would have wanted me to be with someone that loved me unconditionally and would treat me like gold, and that's exactly how he treats me. I would figure that you would want me to be with someone that treats me like you treat Mom, but clearly that's not the case. So that's fine. You don't have to like him, but I like him, and I'm in love with him, and he's who I'm going to be with. And he, of course, walks away from Amina, and she is fuming mad. And she's like, whatever, you don't have to approve. I'm going to be with who I want to be with. I am a grown woman. And she's upset. Like, she's really upset that her father will not accept who she's chosen to be with. But at the end of the day, she's decided, this is who I'm going to be with. This is who I'm going to spend my life with. He is who I want to be with. He is who I want to spend my life with. I can see myself having children with him. And I hate that you can't accept him, but I can. And so she's going to go ahead and go off to bed. She's feeling really upset, and she's just like, whatever, I'm going to go sleep this off, because she's really, really, disappointed in her father and his behavior. And her family is just kind of tending to themselves here. But as you can see, she's feeling really angry. She is stomping around the house. She's woken up still angry over, everything that's kind of going on. And so she's going to tell her family, look, I appreciate everything that you kind of are doing and the fact that you came by and all of that. But I think it's high time that you guys go ahead and leave. Like, you've been here. You've kind of outstayed your welcome. I love you. I do. But it's time you go. And so she's going to send them off, and we're going to end their stay. And she's going to send them on home because she is really, really upset with her dad. And she's like, I just don't think I can accommodate you guys staying here any longer. I don't think that I can have, Dad around. I just don't even want to look at him right now. And so we're going to go ahead. We're going to send everybody back to their house, and she is going to try to calm down. I'm going to go ahead and let her get herself a meal here. And then she is going to maybe just kind of think to herself, look at her thinking about children and things. Like, she's thinking about her future. She's thinking about her future with Micah. And she is really just thinking, I am shocked that, I have one parent like mom who's pressing me to move forward with Micah and have a family. And then I have dad who's like, nope, stay stunted, be my little girl, don't ever grow up. And, oh, by the way, I don't like who you've chosen as your guy. Like, really? So she's terribly torn by the fact that her parents are so polar opposite on where she's chosen for her life, really. But part of her kind of expected her dad to be that way, but now that it's actually happened, like, she's really, really shocked. Like, she expects that out of, like, a high school boyfriend or even a boyfriend she had in college, but someone that she's chosen to be her life partner and someone she wants to actually marry and have kids with, like, she didn't expect that coming from her dad. She really didn't. And so she's really, really shocked. I'm going to have her go ahead and have herself a bath, and then she's going to apply her eczema lotion here, and we're going to go ahead and get her on ready for work, because I do believe she has work again today. And then she's going to head herself off to work for the day, and she will hopefully do well at her job. And obviously she still has that kind of errant thought that she is kind of needing to move on with her life. And I don't know that it's necessarily that she needs to move from her house. But just that she needs to move on with her life. Like, she's realizing that she's not getting any younger and she wants to move. And she wants to move because she feels like time is of the essence. And so she's only like 4 days away from aging up to an adult. And she's just like, time is really slipping by. I really need to go ahead and get a move on here. And so I'm just going to let her finish up here with this kicking around this ball, which she absolutely loves doing, which we know. And then we're going to get her out. I'm going to have her go and tend to her plant out there because she has a tree out back. And then we'll head her off to work. And she is just having a lot of fun here. She's feeling really confident while she plays with this ball, which we love. And then she's going to go and get herself ready to go to work for the day, feeling confident. Love that she's going to go into work feeling confident. That hopefully will help her with her work progress, which will be beautiful. Oh no, she's going in angry. Okay, well, I tried. All right, so Amina is back home from work now, and she is just feeling a little bit dazed. She is starting to have a little bit of mental fog and heading towards a burnout. She's had a rough couple of days of work, and I think a lot of that too is attributed to the fact that she also had her parents over, and she's just feeling kind of like life is difficult right now. She is really feeling the stress of life. She's had a lot mentally on her plate as far as dealing with her parents and the whole mom says one thing, dad says another, trying to figure out, what she wants to do with her future, how she wants to progress with her future. And, she's in a new career. She's trying to climb that career ladder, and she's in a new place, but now she's feeling like she needs to rush everything, and she needs to, hurry this life up with Micah. And she's just starting to feel kind of overwhelmed. And I just got a notification too that it is almost time for Winterfest. And so we are just going to go ahead. We're going to purchase her a Christmas tree here really quickly, or a holiday tree. And so we are going to grab that and put it here in her living room so she can go ahead and start decorating and get everything ready for Winterfest. And then we can plan to have people over for the holiday, which is going to be tomorrow. And so that is going to be fantastic. I'm just going to have her go ahead and put some decorations up on the house outside, and then she can slowly start decorating this tree, which is going to be lovely. And I hope that she enjoys that. She's feeling a little bit uncomfortable right now, and so I don't know if she's going to want to do all of the decorating currently, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and see if we can get her to decorate. See if that's going to make her a little bit happy and get her in kind of a festive mood. and we will hopefully be able to make her feel kind of good. She's just in the bathroom right now, kind of cleaning up a little bit, which is great. We know that she likes to keep her house pretty tidy, and she's kind of thinking about the fact that it is almost a holiday, and she's like, instead of going over to my parents, I think what I'm going to do is just invite everyone over to the house, and I'll have Micah come over, and she's not cleaning, she's repairing the toilet. Well, either way, she's being productive nonetheless. And so she's like, I'm going to invite Micah over, I'm going to invite the family over, and she's like, I'm really kind of upset with Dad right now, but I guess I'll still extend an invitation to him as well. Hopefully he can behave himself long enough to get along with Micah while he's here. And so she's really kind of hoping that, everything kind of goes without a hitch. She dislikes handiness. Okay, that's fine. But we're just going to have everybody come over to our house and do Winterfest, because she's like, I'm not in the mood to kind of go over there, and I want to be able to spend my holiday with Micah, because she has a plan up her sleeve, and she's like, I want to be at our at home so that I can have my Winterfest the way I want to have my Winterfest, and I don't really want my plans ruined by my family. I want it to be my way, and in order for that to take place, I kind of have to be at my home. So her dad's calling, and so she's gonna go ahead, she's gonna answer the call, and she's like, hello, and he's like, hey, I just was calling to let you know that I heard what you said, and I understand, but I can't help how I feel. And she's like, that's not an apology. And he's like, well, I'm not apologizing, I still feel how I feel. And she's like, thanks for calling, Dad. And so she kind of hangs up. And she's like, I cannot believe him. And she's really just upset. She's gone off to bed. This person is just like cleaning our house and carrying on. We love that. She's going to get up. She's going to cook herself something. It's literally like 8 something at night. I don't know why she was in bed. I think she was just really upset by what her dad said when he called. And so she kind of went on to bed because she was just like, I am mentally drained. And it kind of made her want to go and just rest for a little bit. And now she's kind of like, I'm pretty hungry, so I kind of need to get some food in me. So she's making some food, and she's going to go ahead and eat. And really, can you eat this food? Okay, great. So she's going to go ahead and eat this food here, and then I'm going to go ahead and get her off to bed and let her get a little bit of rest, because tomorrow is Winterfest, and when tomorrow happens, we'll obviously be having everyone come over to the house. So I'll see you in the morning. So it is the next morning. It's about 3 o'clock, and an earthquake has happened, and that has woken Amina up from a dead sleep, and she's like, you have got to be kidding. This is it. I am sick of this place. I am sick of these earthquakes, and she's petrified, of course. Because we know that she gets petrified of these earthquakes, and she's just sick of being in a quake zone, and she's just like, this is ridiculous. I am so over this place and over these earthquakes, and I just need to move. And so she's once again thinking about moving. She's like, I need to seriously just get out of this home and out of this quake zone and move on with my life into another area where I am not constantly in a place that is terrifying me. And she's gonna go ahead and get the tree fully decorated, because we do have guests that are going to be coming over later. And then once she's done decorating the tree, I'm going to have her go ahead and start cooking the meal, because we do need to make a grand meal for the day. And then we'll invite our guest over for the day. She is going to obviously invite over Micah, and she'll invite over Colton and her mom, and as much as she really hates to, she is going to go ahead and extend an invitation out to her dad. Now, she is pretty upset with her father. She is hoping that he will go ahead and he will behave himself while he comes over today. She's like, I really, really hope that he will get along with Micah, at least for the holiday. I'm really hoping that he can be cordial and, not cause a ruckus. I know that he doesn't approve, and whatever the case is, but like, it's Winterfest, and this is my life, and this is my home, and I really hope he can just behave. And part of her doesn't even want to invite her dad, but it's her dad, and it's Winterfest, and of course she's going to invite him. But part of her doesn't want to. Part of her is just like, I should just not even extend the invitation because I don't even know if he can behave himself. Like, he doesn't even have respect for the fact that I've chosen this person as my partner, and, you know, she's just really, really upset by the whole scenario. And she's currently feeling pretty energized. She's going to go out and she's going to check on her plant here, which we love. But I am going to go ahead and get her to come in, and I just need her to make a grand meal. And she obviously needs a bath because she's feeling kind of grungy. But I'm going to get her to make a ham dinner. You know, her mom is vegetarian, and she probably won't even eat this ham dinner. But because Amina is not a vegetarian and she's making this meal at her house and she wants this Winterfest to go her way, she's like, I don't want another tofurkey. Like, I've had tofurkey for every holiday for my whole life. I just want things to go my way. And so she's like, I'm making a ham dinner. I don't even care. And so she's making a ham dinner, not even thinking about the fact that, like, her mom's probably not even going to be able to eat. She's like, Micah and I will be good, and, you know, Colton can eat. And she's like, whatever, it'll be good. It'll be fine. But, like, her mom's not going to be able to eat, and she's not even thinking about that. She's just like, it's my house, it's my Winterfest celebration, and I'm doing it my way. And whoever isn't happy with it can leave. And, you know, that's just kind of how she feels right now. Like, she is almost to the point where she's kind of, like, fed up with all of the BS. And she's just like, it is what it is. This is happening, and it's happening my way. And if you don't like it, you can get out. And so she's making a ham dinner. And so she's in the process of cooking this ham dinner. She's going to go ahead. She's going to call everyone over. And we're going to invite everyone round and let them come on over. And we love that for her. So she's like, everyone is going to come over. It's going to be great. So she's inviting Micah. She's inviting her mom. She's inviting Colton. And she goes to call her dad, and he is like not able to be invited. And she's like, well, why not? And he doesn't want to come over. And she's like, okay, well, why? And he's like, just not able to be invited. So we're going to take that as he doesn't want to come over. So I am basically taking that as he does not want to visit for this Winterfest. Like, her dad has basically said, if Micah's going to be there, then I'm not coming. So Thomas has decided that because Micah is coming to the Winterfest gathering, that he's not going to attend. So Thomas is not coming to Winterfest this year. It's only going to be Colton and Jasmine, and Thomas is basically rejected Amina's invitation to Winterfest. And Amina's like, fine, be that way, Dad. That's fine. But just know that this is the way it's going to be. Like, I have plans this Winterfest, and these plans, if they go my way, they're going to change the course of my life. And you better get used to it. And he's like, I don't know what that means, Amina, but I'm just telling you I'm not coming. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to queue up for, after she finishes this grand meal, they're going to go ahead. She's going to exchange a present with Micah. And then they're going to obviously kind of, you know, have a little bit of a conversation. They're going to hug and, you know, she's just having a little bit of a conversation with him. She is loving the fact that everyone is having a good time here. They're all having a little bit of a conversation together, and we love that. And she's going to call everyone to a meal. They're all going to have their meal. And of course, her mom is looking around like, what am I supposed to eat? And she's like, sorry, Mom, I made a ham. And she's like, but I can't eat that. And she's like, yeah, I understand, but I made a ham. And she's like, well, no, Amina, you know I'm a vegetarian. And she's like, Mom, I made a ham. And she's like, well, are you going to make anything else? And she's like, nope, I made a ham. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I'm not eating today. And she's like, sorry, Mom, I decided to do Winterfest my way. And she was like, that's fine, Amina. I don't mind. I'm just here for the company. And she's like, thanks, Mom. And she's like, Amina, I realize that you're upset right now, but you don't have to take it out on everyone. And she's like, I'm not trying to, Mom. I just want things to go my way. I have, a lot of stress right now, and I just want things to go perfect. And she's like, that's fine. So they're going to open their gifts. Everyone's coming around the tree. They're all opening their presents. And Amina's like, finishing her meal up, but she's like, I have a surprise and an announcement to make. And they're like, oh, what's that? And she's like, I have one more gift for Micah. And Micah's like, you do? And she's like, I do. And he's like, really? What is it? And she's like, well, do you want it now? And he's like, I guess. And she's like, okay. And she's like, well, I will get it. Just give me 1 second. And someone's calling asking if they can go on a date with someone. Yeah, sure, go ahead. She's like, I just want to go ahead and say that I am so glad that everyone came around, and I love the fact that all of you guys came to the Winterfest. And she's like, Mom, I'll go ahead and make you something to eat. And her mom's like, thank you, honey. I appreciate that. So she's starting a meal for her mom because she kind of feels bad that she didn't fix anything for her. And Micah's like, you're really sweet that you're doing that for your mom. And she's like, do you think so? And he's like, yeah, I do. And she's like, thanks, honey. And he's like, I knew you kind of didn't have it in you to just kind of be like, I have a ham and you have nothing to eat. And she was like, I know, I felt bad. And he's like, I knew you would. He's like, you're really just too sweet to not feel bad. And she's like, I'm mad at my dad right now. I'm not mad at my mom. And he's like, I know that too. And she's like, well, I have something that I want to say to you. And so she's going to profess her undying love to him. And he's like, oh, honey. And she's like, not only that, but there is something that I have for you. And he's like, what's that? And she's like, well, ever since I have met you, I've known there's something different about you. And I just think that you and I were cosmically meant to be, and that I met you exactly when I was supposed to, in the time of my life that I was supposed to meet you. And I was wondering if you would do me the honor of spending the rest of my life with me. And he's like, oh my God. And she's like, will you marry me? And he's like, yes. So he accepts her proposal. These two have gotten engaged, and he's like, I cannot believe that. And she's like, I'm sorry to be so forward. Usually I would have let you propose to me. She's like, but I know this is the right thing for our life, and I just couldn't help myself. And he's like, well, to be completely honest, I was going to ask you out on a date, and I was going to propose to you, but you kind of beat me to the punchline. And she's like, seriously? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, I'm sorry I stole your thunder. And he's like, don't be. He was like, I feel really blessed. He's like, but I do have to go if you don't mind. And she's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I understand. He's like, will you come over later so we can celebrate just the two of us? And she's like, yeah, I will. And he's like, okay. So everyone actually is going to leave. She's going to clean up a little bit, and then she is going to just kind of reflect on her day. And her mom's like, I've got to get home and go check on your father, and congratulations on your engagement. And so everyone has left. Amina's going to go ahead, get herself a bath, and she's going to kind of clean up a little bit, put the presents away and things like that. But she's just reflecting on her Winterfest and the fact that everything went as smashingly as it did. She cannot believe that things have gone the way they have. She is an engaged woman, and she is about to be married to the man of her dreams, Mr. Right, the one and the only, the one she thought was the perfect man for her, actually has turned out to be the perfect man for her. And yeah, she stole his thunder a little bit, and yeah, she totally stole him and proposing to her out from under him. But, that's okay. She doesn't even mind, and she doesn't even care, because to her, the only thing she really cares about is going ahead and spending the rest of her life with him. And she's like, Dad is going to have to get on board, and he's going to have to come around, and he's going to have to start liking him, because this is my life. So she's decided she's going to go over here, and she's going to do a little bit of studying on parenting. Parenting. Yeah. Because she's like, I want us to have kids. And so I want to know all there is to know about parenting. And so she wants to do a little bit of studying on parenting. So she's taken a course on parenting. And then I think she is just thinking, he and I would be perfect parents. Like, he's going to be such a good dad. And she is feeling really energetic, and she's like, maybe after I finish this course up, I can go out for a bit of a jog. And after my jog, I can go on over to his house since I told him that I was going to come over. And so she's thinking about all of these things, but she is just realizing how blessed she is and how lucky she is. And she is like, life is so good, and things have gotten just like they're all falling into place. Okay, her computer just broke, so that's great, and we love that. Maybe she can go ahead and repair that, and then I'll send her out for a jog. So we'll have her go ahead and repair that. I know she hates handiness, but like she's also thinking to herself, if I don't repair this computer, then I can't learn things. So she's going to go ahead and repair that. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to send her out for a jog. First, her mom's calling, and she's like, hey, you never visit. Mom, I literally just saw you. Like, seriously, I will come visit you tomorrow. And she's like, okay, well, I hope that I see you. Well, calm down. All right, so she's getting some sit-ups in, and she's like, yes, I definitely need to go out for a jog. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to send her out for a jog, and then she can get a little bit more exercise. She is extremely happy right now from being engaged, and we love that for her. She is just over the moon happy with her life, and I am loving how happy she is. But she's going to go on a nice long jog through her neighborhood, and then once she's finished with her exercising, she is going to go ahead and head out to Micah's house because she told him that she'd come over and she would spend a little bit more of the holiday day with him, just the two of them, because she was like, you know, obviously they want to spend the holiday together, just the two of them without her parents and brother. And so she is going to go to Micah's a little bit later, and maybe they will be able to spend just a little bit of time together as a couple. And so she's going to go ahead and do that. But for now, she's just enjoying the scenery. She is enjoying her jog and enjoying being athletic and loving the neighborhood and things like that. And she's kind of thinking, you know, I may miss this area when I decide to move. But, you know, maybe I, will move to Micah's, or maybe Micah won't want to live in his house. Maybe he wants to move somewhere else. Maybe we want to move somewhere that fits both of us better as a family. She hasn't really decided that yet, and they haven't really discussed that yet. So they haven't really, had that talk yet, and they do still need to have that talk about, like, where do they want to live? Does he want to move to a different location so that they can raise children together? Because, when he moved here to this place, he moved here as a single guy. He was just a single guy as an author that moved here. He didn't really, have a family yet. And she doesn't know if he wants to live here long term and raise a family here long term. She hasn't really had that conversation with him. So she doesn't really know, like, what his plan is. Or is there another area that he wants to raise a family in? So she needs to kind of find that information out from him. And so that is a conversation they need to have. And Colton is just congratulating her on her engagement, which is super sweet. So we are going to now go ahead and just finish this jog up really quickly. And we're going to head her over to Micah's house so that we can finish out our Winterfest with Micah. It's starting to get a little bit late. So she does want to get over there to be with him because she's thinking, well, maybe at the very least we can spend the rest of our evening together, and then, that'll be great. So she's made it over to Micah's house. He's invited her in, and she's just going to go over and she's going to greet him, and they are going to just spend some time together as a loving romantic couple here. They're going to just embrace one another. and give a little kiss, it would seem. Woo, hot and steamy. And then we are going to just have them have a little bit of a conversation, and she's going to ask him, I was thinking about our lives, and he's like, yeah, I've been doing some thinking too now that we're engaged. And she's like, I didn't know if you wanted to live here. I didn't know if you were wanting to raise a family here, or if you just moved here as kind of like a single guy wanting to write. He's like, actually, I moved here to get some experience for my writing for a new location. It kind of gives you good stuff to write about when you move from location to location. He's like, but I can write from anywhere. He's like, so I'm not really bound to be in one location or another. I can move anywhere to raise a family. He's like, so I'm not bound by this area as far as a family is concerned. So if you're needing to move somewhere else for a family raising, he's like, I'm okay to move. He's like, that's fine by me. And she's like, I just kind of feel like maybe I need to move, but I don't know where. She's like, I don't really know. She's like, I just have this feeling that I need to move. She's like, but I did just take this new job. He's like, yeah, but you're an OBGYN. You could go to any hospital. And she's like, that's true. And he's like, we still can discuss those things. And she's like, yeah, but I'm not really getting any younger, and I really would like to start a family. And he's like, wow. And she's like, I'm not saying we have to start a family like tomorrow, but I am not getting any younger. He's like, no, I understand. I'm not really getting any younger either, and we probably should consider starting a family sooner rather than later. And I understand where you're coming from. And they're also talking to Saint Nick here, or Father Winter, I guess I should say. And they're asking for presents and things like that. And he's like, but I do want to know if you are okay with moving. And she's like, I do think that maybe we should consider possibly moving to a different area. And he's like, how do you feel about moving away from your family? And she's like, I think it will be okay. She's like, I already live away from my family, so I don't think that's a big deal. I moved away from my family already. And he's like, that's true. And she's like, I just think we need to find the perfect place for us and what fits best for us. So that being said, you guys let me know in the comments below, where do you think in the world would be a good place for them to live, to raise a family, if they are going to be raising a family? Right now they are in San Sequoia, and I had thought this would be a good place for them. And if you think San Sequoia is a good place for them to raise a family, let me know, and we'll let them stay here, and I'll just maybe get them in a new home. And that will be great if that's the case. Otherwise, I may move them to another world if you guys think another world might fit for them better. That being said, I am going to go ahead and let her finish off here with him, and she's going to go on and head herself home. They've gotten themselves their presents from Father Winter, and it looks like Micah's heading off to bed, and so she's going to go ahead and head herself off to her house as well. And it is kind of getting late. It's like pretty late here. And so she's like, all right, honey, I'm going to go on home, and we will continue to discuss this. And so they're going to obviously discuss this a little bit further. But she has made it on home. She's in bed for the night. And I am going to go ahead and leave this episode here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when new episodes go live on the channel. And I will see you guys in our next episode of our Enamoured series, where we will decide where they're going to live, and we will move forward in her story and see what it unfolds for Amina and Micah, and if they're going to be obviously moving in together, what their next step is. And I will, until next time, go ahead and fly for now. Bye, Ravens.